Hello, it's a Project for Awesome exclusive Hank's channel video. I asked on Blue Sky what people want me to talk about. What are my topics for the video? Number one is from Peyton. It says, I want to know the reasons being short is better than being tall. I don't want to know any reasons why being tall is better than being short. I'm tall, Peyton's short. That's the situation. And I know some of the reasons why it's worse to be tall. Number one, any situation where a chair is built to be the standard size for a person. Now, this might also be bad for short people. I don't know. But I know that there's an average, there's a bell curve of heights. And if you're on the higher side of that bell curve, it's not ideal. And I'm sure this is also the case not just for height, but other ways in which there are different sizes of people. Basically, airplanes are uncomfortable. They make my legs hurt. I have a particular tendon in the back of my knee that gets really painful. I'm not that above average. I'm 6'1". John is also 6'1", and I'm an inch taller than him. So who knows how that happened. John Green height. What does it say about that? 6'1". Interesting. Hank Green height? Oh, 6'1". That's interesting because I am an inch taller than John. So I don't know. Maybe I'm 6'2". I certainly am when I wear my shoes. I'm a boots boy. I like to wear boots. I like to wear shoes with a lot of ankle support. Now that's another thing. You are more likely to be injured if you're tall. There's more body weight when you fall. You fall from a higher height. Sometimes I look at short people and I'm like, how could you even possibly hurt yourself? Especially children. Let's be honest. I've often maintained, and people have heard me say this before, that the ideal height for a person is around maybe 3.5 feet tall. You consume way fewer resources. It's easier to move around. Your house wouldn't need to be as big. It would cars could be smaller. It would just be much better. And in that, you can see some reasons why it would be worse to be tall. You have to eat more. Also, there are more cells in your body. More cells in your body means more opportunity for a cancer to arise, and this is in fact the case. Tall people get cancer more. Google that. Yes, well, that's the AI summary. Why taller people are at a greater risk for cancer from the World Cancer Research Fund, who I trust, unlike an AI summary of probably this page. Specifically, for every 5 centimeters in height, the increased risk of 6 cancers is as follows. So kidney, pre- and postmenopausal breast cancer, ovarian. Neither of those are concerns for me. Pancreatic, though, big concern. Colorectal, huge concern. Prostate, also a concern for me, but specifically pancreatic is a concern because it's not a good one. I don't know too much about cancer. You don't want to get pancreatic cancer. Adult height is a marker that represents a growth process. The most important thing to remember is that it's not a person's height itself, i.e. the distance from your head to your feet, that increases your risk of cancer. It's the process that your body has undergone to make you that tall that is linked to cancer. In other words, a person's final height is a visual representation of the growth process that someone's body has undergone. So maybe this isn't about the number of cells in the body, though I think that it would be to some extent. But also, growth is what makes you tall. It's what makes you bigger. And also, growth is the thing that makes cancer happen. So there's a balance, and this is a known thing. There's a balance between certain things that let you heal faster or regrow a limb or be bigger or grow faster. All of those things actually increase your risk of cancer because those genes and those hormones and those receptors that are involved in that process, if there are more of them, then the ways that cancer happens, there's a easier path for a cancer to happen, which is kind of neat, but also kind of scary. And then the replies to this are simply, tall people are easier targets in war. That would be an interesting stat to see. Did tall people get killed more often in war? Surviving soldiers were on average 1 inch taller than fallen soldiers. Conservative estimates suggest that 1 inch height advantage alone is more than twice as sufficient to account for all the excess boys born. What? It is widely known that more boys are born during and immediately after wars. It is widely known I knew that fact, but I don't think that most people do. And the reason why is fascinating. It's not God being we need more boys to repopulate the earth. And I don't know if, I think it's just a weird quirk, but it turns out that if you get pregnant earlier in your cycle, you are very slightly more likely to have a boy. And if you get pregnant later in your cycle, you are very slightly more likely to have a girl. And so after war, people are getting pregnant earlier in their cycles because they are having more sex, which is interesting to me. My feeling is that surviving battle, this might simply be being healthier and having more body to go around, because one of the big reasons people die in war is not getting shot in the head. It's disease and malnutrition even. But anyway, being tall sucks. The only upside is being able to reach the top shelf, but you also have a shorter lifespan on average and are more likely to have knee and back issues. And yes, this is all correct. Though I will say there are also advantages to being tall. For the big one being there is just a societal privilege. Like, people treat tall people different. It's real. So if you search for tall people income, standing tall pays off, study finds. When it comes to height, every inch counts. And in fact, in the workplace, each inch above average may be worth $789 more per year. Someone who is 6 feet tall earns on average nearly $166,000 more during a 30-year career than someone 5 feet 5 inches, even when controlling for age, gender, and weight. So wild. Anyway, let's move on to the next thing on the list. That's not going to be the only topic we talk about. Trans rights is number 2. Trans rights. This is a mess that we're in right now. The government shouldn't decide what someone's gender is. People sometimes ask me as like a science guy, like, people, look, my content is broadly appealing. And so my content interfaces with people who are transphobic, and they'll be like, I don't understand how you, a science guy, could think that gender and sex are a different thing. That's not usually how they say it. And I do have like a science guy opinion on this. I worry about like having it in a way that makes trans people feel uncomfortable, because like I'm a cis guy and I don't know what it's like to be trans, but it seems fairly obvious to me that gender and sex are different things. There's basically 2 cases that you can make. One, gender and sex are the same. Like, there isn't a different thing there. And the other is gender and sex are intrinsically linked. And I know that gender and sex are different things because, like, there's no objective reason why gender expression is the way that it is. There's no objective reason why women are more likely to wear makeup and men are less likely to wear skirts. There's nothing there. Like, we could have run the simulation again and men would be the skirt wearers and women would be the pant wearers, and we'd think that that was totally normal. We'd be like, oh, of course. What, like, why would you have it be a different way? That seems mind-blowing. Which is how I deep in my soul as a person who is very societally constructed feel about the idea that men would be more likely to wear skirts, that there'd be like guys running around in sundresses, which honestly, sundresses are great, and I am in favor of as many of them around as possible. So I know that those are different things. And then there's the part where gender and sex you could imagine this is something that is one-to-one, like Venn diagram, complete overlap. All people who have these secondary sex characteristics have this gender, and that's how it works. But y'all, I know that's not the case because I see all the trans people around. Like, I talk to them, and I know them, and they're there. I know objectively that they're different things. I know objectively that they don't always line up with each other. I don't know, trans people exist. And I'm in favor of a society that is just like, yeah, no, trans people exist. And yet here we are. So yeah, trans rights. I'd like to learn more about societies that have successfully thwarted a 2-party system. Oh, interesting. This is difficult. It's my understanding that this is done by implementing different voting methods like ranked choice. The way that we vote makes it impossible. Yeah, no, I agree. Definitely. It would be very hard to do without a different voting system. I think we are more or less locked in until and unless we change the voting system, which is not easy and has been done in some states. But there are also other ways. There's parliamentary systems that assign seats based on vote proportion. So if 10% of people vote for the Green Party, then 10% of the seats in the parliament are Green Party seats. This is how most of the multi-party systems in the world work, I think. And then the parliaments like coalesce to form coalitions that then nominate or appoint the leader. You know, if like the Green Party and the Liberal Party and the Workers' Party all sort of work together and they form like one thing, and they are more than 50% of the parliament, then they can have the prime minister. But I'm interested. Let's look at this Reddit one. New Zealand adopted a mixed member proportional system in the 1990s, switching from the first past the post system. The election of 1993 under the old system led to a House of Representatives dominated by 2 parties. The election of 1996 under the new electoral system led to a House with multiple parties. So how does New Zealand Parliament work? It's a unicameral legislature, so they don't have Congress and a House, they just have one. They have a House of Representatives. The king is usually represented by his Governor General, okay? So you can see the seats here. It's very mixed, very mixed. You got the ACT Party, the National Party, the NZ First. You got Labour, you got Green, you got Maori. Look at that. They've got a Maori party. New Zealand had representatives of the indigenous population in its parliament from an early date, in contrast with many other colonial states. Reserved Maori seats were created in 1867 during the term of the 4th Parliament. Maori men aged 21 and over, whether or not they owned property, could vote to and I'm sure that they have expanded that since then. Maori electorates have lasted for longer than the intended 5 years. In 2002, the seats increased in number to 7. There's so many different ways to do government, you guys. We are very locked into the system that we have right now. It's important to remember that one of the weaknesses of the United States is that we were one of the first democracies, and we created one of the first constitutions, and so we didn't have like other people having experimented first. So we ended up with the system that we ended up with. And it might not be the best one. It's good. I want to emphasize they were smart enough to be like, we need separation of powers. We need these things to check each other. We need the judiciary to check the Congress and the president to check the Congress and the judiciary, and the Congress to check the president and the judiciary. Like they all interact with each other. And I think a way that has clearly worked, especially well for something that just came out of kind of nowhere. Okay, I have a document from the government of New Zealand. We got the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. The House of Representatives, something happened in Parliament, they mean the House of Representatives. There are usually about 120 MPs, and most MPs belong to a political party. Under the New Zealand's voting system, voters have 2 votes, a party vote and an electoral vote. What? That's weird. I love that. So the electorate vote helps decide who will become your electorate MP. The candidate who gets the most votes in your area wins the seat and becomes the electorate MP for that area. A list MP is someone who's been elected from a political party's party list. The party vote helps decide how many seats in Parliament each party will get. So you vote for one person, and then you also vote for a party, and then the party gets to decide if they get seats, who will get that seat. That's wild. And that's a new system. They're like, we've seen a lot of people do this. We're going to do it a different way. I like that we have an Earth with a lot of countries trying things a lot of different ways. I think that's very cool. So props to the people of New Zealand. Let's do one more topic. You should just play Connections the whole time. Wow, that was convenient. It's like I planned that, but I promise I did not. Let's play Connections. All right, we got guilt, might, mold, ego, power, expression, token, must, head, will, guide, gesture, can, model, symbol, blueprint. So we've got like mold and guide and model. This is like, we've also got token and symbol and head. Oh, God. A mold, a blueprint, a model. So these are all ways to represent what will be created. And then a symbol, a token, a guide. It's guide. A mold, a guide, a model, a blueprint. Okay, so we've got one. I feel good about that. We got a symbol, a gesture, and expression. Oh God, that's so close to model, guide, mold, blueprint. That's frustrating, but it's different. An expression, a gesture, a symbol. I can't even really say why those words go together for me. Okay, let's move on from that. Head, power, ego, will. That kind of feels together-ish, maybe, right? Will, must, can, might. Is that it? That's hilarious. I will do it, I must do it, I can do it, I might do it. There's like various ways that I can feel about a thing. It would be so silly if that was the category. And then I got model, got blueprint, and then that leaves me with gesture, expression, symbol, token. Yeah. Head, ego, power, guilt. Yeah, guilt? Ego, power, head, guilt. I don't know about guilt, but maybe it's just a weird purple. I'm going to go for it because you're bored already. Yes. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. I like it. I got there, and that's what's important. What's the next one down? This probably isn't it. Maybe it is. It's a little weird. Let's just, that might be the green. I don't think it's the yellow. Hey, modal verbs. Okay, if you say so. Oh, these two are so similar. Symbol, a token, a model, a guide. And then no, whoa, my brain. A guide, a blueprint, a model, a mold. And so the other one is these four: gesture, expression, symbol, token. Yes, reverse rainbow. Thank you for donating to the Project for Awesome. Woo! That felt good. Let's analyze. Oh, it wasn't that hard. I got a 99. People got confused. Guide, model, symbol, blueprint. Yeah, that feels like it could be, Ego, power, head, will. Just like force, a psychological force. Thank you for donating to the Project for Awesome. Thank you for wonderful P4A. I assume, who knows how it went, because I'm recording this just beforehand. We're starting tomorrow. I figured I'd crank this out so that it would be ready to go out into the world. Thank you, everyone, and you'll see me on Hank's channel doing something else sometime soon. Goodbye.